Listen, I know y'all love this series, so today I combined every single part into one video. But I also added new information and added corrections you guys gave me in the comment section of each vid. So without wasting your time, let me show you how I fixed every C in BloxFruits. Starting off with the starter island. Now in BloxFruits, there are 2 starter islands depending on which faction you choose, either the pirates or the marines. If you start it on the pirate starter, then it's gonna look like this, and you have to fight bandits. If you start it on the marine starter, then it looks like this, but you have to fight trainees. This is probably Shellstown. But just these first islands can show you the difference from the source material because nothing in One Piece is alike these islands. In the manga, Luffy starts his journey leaving his home of Syrup Village. Syrup Village is where Usopp is from, while Fuchsia Village, which means windmills, is where Monkey Big D Luffy was born and raised. And heading to Shellstown, where he most notably meets Vice Captain, an absolute demon, Roronoa Zoro, which kickstarts our Rubber Boy's journey to becoming the Pirate King. The next island you must go to in BloxFruits is the Jungle Island. Here you will find monkeys, gorillas, and the Gorilla King. We see more inconsistencies on this island, with us never seeing any kinds of monkeys up until much later in the story. For example, the baboons on Mihawk's Island that are used to train Zoro. As well as the fact that the BloxFruits dealer can be found on the island, but there is no such thing in the manga because in One Piece, double fruits are only found at random in nature. Side note, you guys suggested that this could be inspired by the area that Garp trained Luffy and Ace on because it looks like a jungle, although we don't know exactly where this would be in the Gold Kingdom. Also, the Saber expert is on this island and he looks a lot like red-haired Shanks. But this actually might be the most correct thing here because Shanks is shown in chapter 1 of the manga and this is only the second island you encounter. After that is Pirate Village Island, which is our first island to be pretty canon to the manga. Here you will encounter pirates, brutes, and Bobby. In One Piece, the second island we go to is Orange Town, where we meet our ship's navigator Nami and fight the notorious former Roger Pirates crew member Buggy the Clown. And beat him up. Oh, and I forgot the Dark Step teacher is here, and it's just Sanji, who is the Straw Hat chef and known for his only kicking fiery fighting style. Fight back! Fight back! Following Pirate Village is the Desert Island. Now this has got to be BloxFruits' version of Alabasta, but that means that we skipped over a lot of story. One being my favorite One Piece arc, which is the Arlong Park arc. More importantly, we skipped over adding Sanji, Nami, God Usopp, and Chopper to the crew. But anyways, on the Desert Island you could find the Desert Bandit and the Desert Officer, which are not any significant characters in the Alabasta saga. On Alabasta, the Straw Hats must stop a civil war due to the hands of Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and the leader of a corrupt secret organization known as Baroque Works. At the end of the arc, we also add another Straw Hat to the crew, which is the Demon Child, Nico Robin. Next is the Frozen Village, where you fight the Snow Bandits, Snowmen, and the Yeti. But there's nothing like this in One Piece. There are, however, Yetis eventually, in fact, Yeti twins, if that means anything to you. I don't think it does. Middletown. Nothing happens here in BloxFruits other than the raid boss, the Saw, spawning in, who is basically Arlong in the manga. But he should be in Arlong Park or maybe Fishman Island to be true to the main story. There's also a couple NPCs on this island, but they don't really do much. While Millz is right, he totally forgot about the fact that this is probably Logtown inspired. But other than that, you just use this place to travel to the Second Sea, and that's pretty much it. Then comes Marine Fortress. The NPCs on this island are the Chief Petty Officers and Vice Admiral.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy.
While the actual island BloxFruits takes inspiration from is very important, the BloxFruits equivalent is not. It is a good island to serve our hot bosses though. One big connection on this island is that Vice Admiral Boss is basically Zoro. He uses his signature triple katana and has his face and everything. But obviously in the manga Zoro is a pirate and part of the Straw Hats, yada yada yada, you get the point. But Greybeard is a raid boss on this island and he looks exactly like our father Whitebeard, who is one of the Yonko, otherwise known as one of the 4 Emperors of the Sea. He's very important. The other connection this island has is being modeled after the Marine Ford, a Marine headquarters where soon the execution of Luffy's older brother, Ace, is being held, causing an all-out war against Whitebeard's pirates and the Navy. Now we go to Sky Island, where you battle against the Sky Bandits and the Dark Masters. There are no bandits or dark masters in Skypiea, the Sky Island from manga, but we do fight Enel, the new god of Skypiea, and his 4 priests. Here, the Straw Hats end up searching for Skypiea out of curiosity, but are amazed after actually reaching there. Skypiea is in turmoil after a newly crowned god has taken over the island forcefully and is ruling with an iron fist. So it's all up to our rubber boy to put an end to the thunder god. We're also introduced to the idea of hockey, specifically observation hockey, but in BloxFruits we use instinct. Also, a couple of other NPCs are spread out, being the master swords dealer and the mad scientist, who are not people in the manga. You can see the master swords dealer design is based off a Eustace kid, and another NPC named Mad Scientist looks just like a mink who teaches you electric fighting style, which is used by the minks in the manga. To learn more about races in the game, check out this video where I break down every race in BloxFruits and its similarities and differences to One Piece. Let's go to the prison island, where you will meet many foes, starting off with the prisoners, then the dangerous prisoners, finally 3 bosses, including the Warden, Chief Warden, and Swan, who are all characters found in Impel Down. Now we're kind of going backwards story-wise because Impel Down, the name of the prison Luffy and the others are in, is before the Marineford War, but regardless, in Impel Down, Luffy is alone from his crew but puts together a ragtag team of crooks and one zesty boy to attempt to break out of the toughest prison in the world and hopes to reach Marineford in time to save Ace. Side note though, Doflamingo, who is Swan, is in Impel Down currently in the anime, but was first seen in the Jaya arc alongside Bartholomew Kuma. Next up is Coliseum. Now I have a big problem with this BloxFruits. You cannot have a rip-off Dressrosa Island in the first sea and then do an entire Dressrosa in the second sea. But nevertheless, you fight against the Toga warriors and gladiators on this island. This is where you can also have friendly 1v1s by using these platforms, and it has no significance to the manga whatsoever.
360 ooga booga booga! Like, are you serious right now?
Magma Island. You can fight with the military soldiers, military spy, and Magma Admiral boss on this island. The only thing taken here from One Piece is the Magma Admiral, who is really the admiral in the manga, named Akainu, and is a very bad, evil, horrible, immoral, sinful, wicked, foul, vile man. But currently he isn't only just an admiral, he's actually in fact the fleet admiral. The third last island in the first sea is the underwater city. Fishman Warrior, Fishman Commando, and Fishman Lord are all present here. While the Fishman Warriors and Commandos are just generic fish bad guys, the Fishman Lord is actually based off of our resident juicer, Horty Jones from the Fishman Island arc. Here Luffy is told he is going to destroy the Fishman Island one day by a fortune teller, and the Straw Hats are labeled criminals, all while the bad Jim Bros plan to take over Ryugu Kingdom. We also meet an ancient weapon named Shirahoshi. This is also very early for BloxFruits to put Fishman Island here because in the manga, Fishman Island doesn't appear till post time skip. Now we go back to the Sky Islands, but in the upper part where we face off against God's Guards, Shonda, and Weisper, followed by the Royal Squad, Royal Soldier, and the Thunder God. Here we meet more of the supportive cast of the Skypiea arc, being the Shandorians, Wiper, a couple other characters are notable here, as well as Usopp, who teaches you observation hockey, and Ganfall. And of course, the main arc's villain, as well as the scariest villain in One Piece ever, Enel. Finally, we reach Fountain City, otherwise known as Water 7, fighting with the galley pirates who look a lot like the galley lost shipwrights, and then with the galley captain, who might be our very own CP9. And finally, against the cyborg formerly known as Frankie. On Water 7, the Straw Hats search for a shipwright to join the crew due to all the problems popping up on the Going Merry, but are caught up in an assassination plot against someone keeping the blueprints to an ancient weapon. We also see the first infighting of the group between Luffy and Usopp, as well as adding the final addition to our crew, pre-time skip, Mr. Frankie. The Kingdom of Rose is our introduction to the second sea. You will spawn here alongside NPCs like the Blacksmith, Sea Captain, and BloxFruits Dealer. Kingdom of Rose is actually separated into 2 parts. This actually makes a lot of sense due to the fact that Dressrosa was a very lengthy arc in the manga/anime, with the anime adaptation lasting for 8 years in the Dressrosa saga alone. In the first part, you will come across raiders, mercenaries, and the boss Diamond. The raiders and mercenaries don't have any importance to One Piece, but Diamond, otherwise known as Diamante in the manga, is a very very integral character to the Dressrosa arc. He is one of the 3 top officers in the Don Quixote Pirates and is known as the hero of the Colosseum. In the second part, you face off against the Swan Pirates, factory staff, and boss Jeremy. While the manga version of Don Quixote Pirates has no fodder crewmates like the Swan Pirates, I'll give BloxFruits a pass due to them keeping the NPCs in theme. Now, the factory staff must be generic bad guys for when the raid on the factory occurs, but the major antagonist in the battle is our boy Frankie versus our beloved Senor Pink. And yes, for the non-One Piece watchers, we all love this grown man dressed like a baby. The Dressrosa saga is comprised of 2 arcs, being the Punk Hazard arc and Dressrosa arc. Although the Punk Hazard arc comes before Dressrosa, it is found later being adapted as the Hot and Cold Island that I'll get to shortly. The Dressrosa arc is the finale to the ongoing conflict between Luffy and Doflamingo Don Quixote, which ends up in a coordinated attack on the island after Dofi wrongfully took over and is puppeteering the entire country, pun intended. So the Straw Hats, alongside many of our new allies, raid the island in an effort to reclaim it back to the rightful owners. Also on this island is the Factory Breach event that happens every hour and 30 minutes, where the players in the server can all attack the factory in order to try and win a random BloxFruits. This is inspired by Frankie and the Tontada's attack on the factory in the manga. Also on this island is where you'll eventually fight Mr. Don Swan, who, as mentioned in the previous vid, is Doflamingo in the manga. You'll need to fight him in order to go to the 3rd sea eventually, and you must give his boy Trevor a fruit at least worth 1 million belly. So good luck with your rolling/trading, as well as you can find him here. On Green Zone, you will come across the Marine Lieutenant, Marine Captain, and the boss Fajita, as well as the 2 NPCs found here are the Alchemist, who teaches you Race V2, and the Mysterious Man, who upgrades you to the true triple katana. I like this BloxFruits because they are being very true here. In the manga, in part of the reclamation of Dressrosa, our Straw Hats get split up, as they always do, and a small team comprised of Usopp, Robin, and our fave member of the worst generation, Law, as well as our resident evil scientist Caesar the Clown, are tasked with meeting on Greenbit, a small island north of Dressrosa, connected by a deadly bridge to exchange Caesar to Dofi, but find out that the Marines have made it there as well, causing an intense 3-way battle between our allies, the Marines led by the new Admiral Fujitora, and Dofi himself. Also, we meet the cute but deadly Tontada tribe. Next is Graveyard, which is the first island for you to actually travel over the sea to get to. Graveyard's antagonists are the zombies and the vampires. The crew captain and Rip Inder are also found on this island for various things. I'm sure many people believe that this island is just Thriller Bark from the manga, but I disagree. Thriller Bark has much more similarities to the haunted castle in 3rd Sea. By the way, subscribe and turn on bell notifications to know when the final part of this series is to come out. The one time we see zombies in One Piece is on Thriller Bark, so I can see how BloxFruits took inspiration from it, but it has no similarities to it. But fun fact, you can find Wenlock toads and Fud 10's gravestones on this island. Oh, and alongside the graveyard is the cursed ship, which isn't sequentially the next island you go to, but it is right next to it and in theme, so I'll break it down now. The cursed ship is home to many bad guys, like way too many bad guys. Starting off with the ship deckhand, then ship engineer, ship steward, and then the ship officer. You will also need to come here to defeat the cursed captain raid boss. Now, I really couldn't find anything like this in One Piece other than the idea that maybe it could be a take on Brook's ship that he died on, but even then, the only resemblance it has is that it is a ship with ghosts and stuff on it, so I think it's a far reach. But I guess if you want, you could say it's the ship of the Rumbar pirates, who Brook was a part of 50-ish years ago, before they got lost at sea and all poisoned to death. But luckily for Brook, he ate the revive fruit, therefore he would get one chance back in life if he were to die, but his soul got lost looking for his body for 50 years. No enemies or NPCs are really of any significance on this island, just like Graveyard. You guys said that this could be the Flying Dutchman from the anime. The Flying Dutchman was a ship from old maritime folklore, which was revealed to be real, and was last seen being anchored by Watatsumi. Here are the Snow Mountains. On to the next island, which is... Nah, I'm just joking. Here you can fight the Snow Troopers and the Winter Warriors, as well as find the martial arts master who teaches a superhuman fighting style. Realistically, there is nothing like the Snow Mountains in One Piece. I know in the last video people tried telling me that Frozen Village is supposed to be Drum Island, but it literally has no connection to Drum Island other than the fact that it's cold and snowy. In One Piece, there aren't any memorable ice/snow islands other than Drum Island 2. Now, Snow Mountains weren't like One Piece at all, but the Hot and Cold Islands are uncanny. As the name implies, Hot and Cold Island splits into a hot side and a cold cold side. On the cold side, you encounter the lab subordinates and honed warriors. Meanwhile, on the hot side, you battle against magma ninjas, lava pirates, and the smoke admiral boss. This island is right out of the manga, being based on the Punk Hazard arc. On Punk Hazard, the Straw Hats have just entered the new world and stumble upon the island, where the two admirals Akainu and Aokiji have just fought each other for the title of Fleet Admiral. The battle was so devastating that it lasted 10 days while affecting the climate on the entire island, therefore causing one side to be half cold and half hot. The Straw Hats end up on the island after hearing a distress call from someone, and end up running into now Vice Admiral Smoker and new Warlord of the Sea Trafalgar D. Law, where the two captains decide to create an alliance in an effort to start a multi-tier plan to take down a Yonko. Aww. Following Hot and Cold is the Ice Castle Island. Here you fight the Arctic Warrior, Snow Lurker, and the awakened Ice Admiral boss. The notable NPC on this island is Fien Yu, the Reformed, who teaches you Death Step. Ice Castle just has no resemblance to One Piece at all, other than the fact that the Ice Admiral is here. The Ice Admiral, well, former Ice Admiral, is named Kuzan, but was formerly known as Aokiji when he was an Admiral. Aokiji is one of the most compassionate members of the Navy we have met so far, with the most notable thing he has done is allowing our beloved Nico Robin to escape Ohara after a buster call was placed on him. But currently in the manga, he is a member of the Blackbeard Pirates, and little further information is known. Before we get to the last island, some notable tiny islands are the Dark Arena, where you can spawn Darkbeard, and Usopp's Island, where you can buy the Kabucha and find items for certain quests. The final island in the second sea is the Forgotten Island, where you will be confronted by the Sea Soldiers, Water Fighters, and the Tidekeeper boss. The only NPC is Daigra, the Sharkman, who teaches you Sharkman Karate. The Forgotten Island is a tricky one to try and connect to One Piece due to its randomness. It's built like Onigashima from Wano Country due to its giant skull being the main structure on the island, but the NPCs on this island are all water themed, so I'm not sure. If you have any other suggestions as to which island this is from One Piece, please let me know in the comments. Port Town is the first island in the third sea. Here you will encounter the Pirate Millionaires, Pirate Billionaires, and the Stone Boss. Port Town gives me Log Town vibes. Log Town is also known as the town of the beginning and the end because the former pirate king Gold D. Roger was born and executed here. Perhaps it could be the inspiration due to it being the beginning of your journey in the third sea, but other than that, there are no outright facts that it's based on Log Town. Maybe if there was a platform where Roger was executed or where Luffy almost died, then I could for sure say it was Log Town. But what I can confirm is the NPCs you fight on this island are taken from Baroque Works. Baroque Works was a secret organization created by Sir Crocodile, used to infiltrate the Alabasta Kingdom and eventually find the secret to the ancient weapon Pluton. The ranking system for Baroque Works had the foot soldiers labeled millions or billions, although they were mainly fodder characters. Stone Boss to me seems like it could be inspired by Pika from the Dressrosa saga, due to the Stone Devil Fruit. Pika is one of the top officers in the Don Quixote Pirates and uses the Ishi Ishi no Mi, or Stone Fruit, and eventually is defeated by our boy Zoro. But other than the stone name, there is no similarity of Pika to Stone Boss. I know BloxFruits likes to change the order of events from One Piece, such as Kingdom of Rose coming before Hot and Cold Island, but here it's very mixed up, so I wouldn't confidently say the Stone Boss is inspired by Pika. The notable passive NPCs on this island are no one, and you go from level 1500 to 1575 here. I would also say that its similarity to One Piece is probably a 5 out of 10. While Millz could be right about this island, it has a lot more options. One is it could be Mock Town due to it being a port town, but that's really all. But Whiskey Peak makes more sense to me. On this island, the Straw Hats get tricked and pitted against each other, but realize what's going on and find out Mr. 5 and Mrs. Wednesday are secret agents trying to dispose of them, so they battle against them. This makes so much sense because Mr. 5 uses the Bomu Bomu no Mi, or the bomb fruit, which is also used by our ugly friend Stone Boss. So the connections are there, I'm just not sure why I didn't see it. The second and closest island is Hydra Island. You will fight the Dragon Crew Warriors, Dragon Crew Archers, Female Islanders, Giant Islanders, and finally the Pirate Empress boss. Not only is this island full of bad biddies, but it's also ripped right out of the pages of the manga. Hydra Island, more like Amazon Lily. Amazon Lily is home to the Kuja Pirates and led by Boa Hancock. Island Empress is BloxFruits' version of best anime girl Boa Hancock, who is one of the warlords of the sea, standing at almost 1.7 billion bounty. Boa Hancock uses the Mero Mero no Mi, or translated to English the Lust fruit, and is known as the most beautiful woman in the world. BloxFruits has a version of her fruit called the Love Fruit, which recently recently got a rework. On Sabati Archipelago, Luffy and the crew were sent to various islands by Kuma, with Luffy ending up on Amazon Lily, where Boa Hancock eventually falls in love with him. Avi, look at him. So she helps Luffy with his plans to sneak into Impel Down and try to break out Ace before he is transferred to Marineford, where his execution will take place. Hydra Island is only inhabited with women, just like the Amazon Lily. Also, it is in snake theme, as you can see, just like the Kuja pirates. You grind here from level 1575 to 1675. You may also find the training dummy on this island, as well as other locations for various quests in the third sea. In terms of similarity to One Piece, I'm gonna say it's a 9.2 out of 10. Hydra Island could be the most akin island to One Piece, so let's go on to the rest. With Great Tree being next, here you battle against the Marine Commodore, Marine Rear Admiral, and the Kilo Admiral. Now, while there is no island in One Piece with one giant ad tree on it, BloxFruits might have taken inspiration from Sabati Archipelago here. This is the island before you enter the New World. It is comprised of 79 separate trees known as the Yarukimen Mangrove. These trees are special and known to be the largest in the world, strong enough to grow to the bottom of the ocean floor, where one might find a little underwater city. And as you can see, this tree is huge. Another possibility is that it could be BloxFruits' version of the Atom Tree, which is a tree comprised of the highest quality wood in the world and can be used by special shipwrights to build ships such as the Thousand Sunny or the Oro Jackson of the Roger Pirates. Other than the giant tree, the NPCs are all marine themed, which isn't from the Sabati arc, but is still One Piece themed. The Marine Commodores aren't a notable role in the Marines from One Piece, but the Rear Admirals are. The Rear Admirals are the 4th highest rank in the Marines and the lowest of the Admiral rankings. They are somewhat powerful and take direct orders from the Marine headquarters. They do not look like any specific Rear Admiral from One Piece though. Then we have the Kilo Admiral boss, who uses the Kilo fruit. She looks very similar to Miss Valentine, who uses the Kiro no Mi, which allows her to weigh from 1 to 10,000 kilograms without changing her size. The boss and fruit are pretty uncanny to One Piece. Another fact about the Great Tree is that on top of the tree you can find the gateway to the Temple of Time, where you can complete various V4 related activities. That definitely does not have anything to do with Sabati or any specific arc in One Piece, and probably was just a cool location for the BloxFruits team to put in. If you want to know more about races including V4, then check out my video where I break down the differences and similarities to every race in BloxFruits. No other notable NPCs are here, and you grind from level 1700 to 1775. Great Tree lands a 6 out of 10 score. That's cool and all, Millz, but aren't you forgetting something? One of the possible inspirations for this island is Ohara. Ohara was an island full of archaeologists in the West Blue and is the hometown of baddie Nico Robin. Due to the research occurring on this island, the world government ordered a buster call, which eventually led to the destruction of Ohara and its big ass tree. So because of that, I can see why people suggest it, as well as the fact that there are Marines on this island. But to me, if they wanted to demonstrate a buster call with the NPCs, they would have at least added a real admiral instead of a fake one. The other option of where this island could be inspired from is Little Garland, which is where Luffy and the others meet giants for the first time and try to help them resolve their beef, but are interrupted by an attack from Baroque Works, more specifically Mr. 5, Mr. 3, and Miss Valentine, who, as I said, is the Kilo Admiral. This makes a little more sense due to these facts, but then the Marines were never on this island. Hope this clears the air a bit more though. Up next is Castle on the Sea, which isn't a grinding island like the rest, but more of a central hub to the third sea. You use this island for server events such as the pirate raid or fighting Rip Indra to get access to the portal system, as well as other perks. Some useful NPCs found here are the Polko Star and other fighting style masters. This island is clearly inspired by Germa 66's moving castle that can be used in sections or combined to make one giant moving castle on the sea, hence the name of the BloxFruits island. There isn't any story to connect to this island in One Piece, but for background, Germa 66 are a famous group from the North Blue who are known for being a science-oriented kingdom. They are led by one of the smartest people in the world, being Vince Smoke Judge, and that's really all there is to Castle on the Sea, so I'm not going to compare it to One Piece. Then we got Floating Turtle. This is the largest island in the third sea, and you will find the Fishman Raider, Fishman Captain, Forest Pirate, Mythological Pirate, Captain Elephant, Jungle Pirate, Musketeer Pirate, and lastly the Beautiful Pirate. Let's start with the island itself. Floating Turtle is a spin on the living, moving ancient elephant who carries the people and land of Zou on its back due to an unspecified crime it committed in the past. As you can see, Floating Turtle is a turtle who carries an island on its shell. Side note, I don't think this is true, but the Avatar fan in me might suggest that these look like the lion turtles from the cartoon. The people who live on Zunisha are mink, who are intelligent, furry, humanoid, mammalian creatures. They can be all sorts of animals like pandas, sheep, lion. This makes sense to Floating Turtle due to the fact that the jungle and mythological pirates look like various land animals. Another similar face on the NPCs is Elephant Captain, otherwise known as Jack the Drought, who is the main antagonist of the Zou arc. Well, barely an antagonist. He is one of the calamities of Kaido, who was sent to retrieve a ninja but doesn't end up finding him, so he beats and tortures the mink tribe with the use of his Elephant Zone Devil Fruit, which inspired Captain Elephant's visual look. Then the beautiful pirate, who looks just like Cavendish. Cavendish is a character in Dressrosa arc who is obsessed with himself and has a split personality, which makes sense because he has two forms when you fight him in the game. Not sure why he's here though, because in the anime he hasn't shown up since the Dressrosa saga. You can find a whole bunch of useful NPCs in the mansion on this island, as well as some notable ones are Previous Hero, who teaches you Electric Claw, which is cool because the minks are animals and have electricity based attacks like Carrot, and the Ancient Monk, who teaches you God Human. You grind from level 1775 to 1975 here. Similar to One Piece, 8 out of 10. Haunted Castle. On this island you come across the reborn skeletons, living zombies, demonic soul, and possessed mummy. These NPCs are just generic bad guys who the Straw Hats face off against on Thriller Bark, which is the island that I think most inspired Haunted Castle. Many people commented on my last video where I went over Graveyard in 2nd Sea and said that it was Thriller Bark, but I disagreed. This island is much more akin to Thriller Bark due to the fact that it's basically a giant island operating as a ship, which can be seen by its giant sail, just like how Thriller Bark is set up. Thriller Bark was created by Gecko Moria in order to move his entire army around as he pleased. The Straw Hats end up on this island after stumbling into the Florian Triangle. They decide to defeat Gecko Moria, a warlord of the sea, after finding out Brook's shadow was taken by him. Brook also immediately joined the crew due to Luffy thinking a talking skeleton was cool. You can obtain dragon talent on this island as well as spawning in the Soul Reaper. Random, but the Soul Reaper is probably a nod to Bleach because there are Soul Reapers in that show. You level from 1975 to 2075, but other than that, I'd rate this Haunted Castle a 7 out of 10. The final island in the 3rd Sea is the Sea of Treats, but it's not just one island, it's a group of 5 islands. This is because in the anime, one of the 4 emperors of the sea, known as Big Mom, governs over an area called Totoland, comprised of dozens of sub-islands, all themed around food. Cause how'd you think she got the name Big Mom? The first sub-island is Peanut Island, where you can find the Peanut Scout and the Peanut President. There is a Peanut Island within Totoland, but it's useless information. Next is the Ice Cream Island, home to the Ice Cream Chef, Ice Cream Commander, and Cake Queen. Cake Queen is an especially challenging boss to fight, and rightfully so. It's because she is based on the strongest woman in the world, Charlotte Linlin. This is also an island in Totoland. Then is Cake Island, where you battle against the Cookie Crafter, Cookie Guards, Baking Staff, and Head Baker. There is no equivalent to this island in One Piece, but the NPCs are all generic fodder characters from the Whole King Island arc. Following that is Chocolate Island. Cocoa Warrior, Chocolate Bar Battler, Sweet Thief, and Candy Rebel are all NPCs on this island, and while this is a real island in the land of Totoland, it does not hold any significance. And finally, the newly added Candy Cane Island. The added NPCs are the Candy Pirates and Snow Demons, who are not in One Piece. In the anime, a small team of Straw Hats including Luffy, Nami, Chopper, Brook, and some of the minks are sent on a mission to retrieve Sanji, who has been taken to be the groom of a political marriage between the Vinsmokes and Linlin family. You can fight the Do King here, as well as you can grind from level 2075 to max level. Similar to One Piece, 7.5 out of 10. Before I head out, I just want to say blessings and love to all of you guys who watch my videos and subbed, so that a small YouTuber like me knows that if I keep working hard, I can take this somewhere someday. We may not know when, but it's not the destination, it's about the journey. And I'm glad the Millz Mafia is here. Also, Ramadan Mubarak to all my Muslim brothers and sisters fasting this month. But that's all for today, man. In a moment, a video will pop up on your screen that you should probably go check out. But other than that, you guys already know what it is. Millz Mafia out. Yeah.